Our speaker this morning is Eddie Lee. Eddie is a four-year boarding student from Hong Kong. He's a member of the varsity boys squash team, a representative on the Honor Council, an international ambassador, and a prefect on US 4 West. He's also the proud roommate of John Ju. Eddie?
Every time someone speaks to me, the first thing they see is this. A bright smile showing all my teeth. How do you always put up a big smile? I couldn't keep track of how many times I've been asked this. And my answer would always be, that's just me. And I never dwelled on it further. I still remember 4 years ago, sitting in front of my computer, staring at my boarding school applications. I was beyond excited to find the decisions for my next endeavors in life. I opened my letter to my first school, my dream school, the school my parents couldn't stop talking about, Lawrenceville. Rejection. Although feeling down, I managed to put up a big smile and told myself that they just didn't see my potential. I clicked open the second email, rejection. I began having doubts. Maybe my SSAT score wasn't high enough. The third email, rejection. I thought maybe I didn't have enough extracurriculars. Rejection, rejection, rejection. I lost hope as I got to my final school, Hill. But I stayed smiling, telling myself that everything is okay. After opening Hill's decision, I finally saw words other than sorry. I saw waitlist. I let out an awkward laugh like this. Thinking to myself that at least one school considered me. Back home, we have this saying called the kid next door. Oh, the kid next door is an award-winning cello player. The kid next door has gold medals in 2 different international math competitions. The kid next door plays 3 different sports. That night, I did some deep reflection after hearing stories of the kid next door from my parents about how they got into their dream boarding schools with amazing applications. I began to dismiss myself and doubt myself, and finally managed to conclude that I was a kid with above average grades, but no special talent to stand out anywhere. I would never be the kid next door. I ended up getting off the waitlist and came to Hill. Yay. Without the constant yabba yabba from my parents and a chance to be independent and start over, I began to smile once again, masking the self-doubt behind my laughs and giggles. However, it turned out that being in a completely new environment wasn't easy. I was placed in Math 41, and it was really great to feel like home again, seeing so many Asian faces. However, the first test, a get to know your math level test, turned out to be the worst 45 minutes of my life. I saw gibberish and squeezed all the knowledge in my head to make mostly educated guesses. There was no miracle this time, and I got a generous score of 36%. Mr. Enos, my math teacher at the time, ended up curving me up to a 60. Let's go. But he still pulled me out of the class saying, hey, I know you belong in this class, Eddie, he said, but there's quite a big difference between you and the next worst score. I smiled awkwardly and scratched my head, promising him I would work harder. Then COVID hit, and I was remote for a year. It was all fun and games when I was going to class without pants. Hearing stories about my friends from Hill wearing tracking wristbands and getting demerits for being in someone's room. However, coming back to Hill in the spring and having not seen my friends for a year, I felt an unprecedented loneliness. I had no common memories to recall and no common topics to talk about. I used my smile once again to cover up my thoughts and hid my true feelings from my friends. Fifth form year, with a more challenging schedule and the added pressure of college applications, stress began to pile up over my shoulders. I yearned support from my parents, but every call I had with them seemed like a formal conference discussing grades, health, or other superficial topics. I thought they expected me to be perfect, to be the kid next door. I was scared to share my true feelings, worrying that they would dismiss me. I numbed my emotion and used my laughter to ignore my negative feelings, but they only grew stronger until it was almost suffocating. I was desperate for an outlet. When I was working on my summer school application, a question startled me. Tell us about your special talent. I couldn't hold back my stress anymore. I was brought back to when I was applying to high school. My doubts about myself came back. What am I good at? Who do I want to be? I'm so much worse compared to others. I'll never stand out. Thoughts rushed into my head as I started to belittle myself. I cried alone in my room. I couldn't smile anymore. I thought about calling my parents, but I was scared. What would I tell them? I stared at my dad's number and hesitated for what seemed like a century until I finally pressed it. The beeping sound echoed in the room as I awkwardly tried to grasp my words. Just as I was about to hang up, a familiar voice pierced through the silence. I finally released all my stress and struggles. I spoke about my doubts and questions about my talent and told him about the stress of meeting their expectations. He was silent, and my heart dropped. I began regretting the call until he finally spoke. I have never been more proud of you, son. All we wanted for you is to be happy, he said. You have the most special talent to be always be energetic and use a smile to light up the room and spread happiness. I smiled, this time not to cover up my feelings, but it was the first time in years in which I truly felt my parents understood me. The call ended, and I was silent. Countless thoughts went through my head. I realized that I do have a talent, that I had no expectations to reach, that I did not need to be the kid next door. I realized that I can't keep using my smile as an escape tool anymore, that I had to face my emotions head on. So, I will leave you all with this. You shouldn't cover up your negative emotions. They are indicators of what is wrong and what needs to be fixed. However, don't soak up these emotions alone. Find support and face the emotions to solve the problem. Press call if you're hesitant to reach out to a friend after an argument, and talk to your roommate if you had a bad day. There are times where that could be difficult. There are times where you might feel like you're not heard or accepted. However, just know that there will always be support if you open up your heart. For those far away from home, call your parents, friend, or anyone that reminds you of home. Share your life with them and lean on them for support. So, when people ask me, how do you always put up a big smile? My answer now is that I smile knowing I have all my friends and family to support and cheer me on, and to use this talent of mine to spread happiness and share joy to the people around me, so that we can all genuinely smile more together. Thank you.